Okay, today is Friday, March the 13th, 2015. This is the East Street Station, and it's Rick Stow in conversation with Katrina Bos. I've got to apologize first off, I got very wordy with my questions, so it's almost like a preamble to the interview. But first one, I remember reading of a lady governor of the Lone Star State. I don't know whether it was before or after George Bush. And she said there's nothing that riles ordinary Texans more than worrying about what their neighbors may or may not be doing behind closed doors. You've been very successful on the World Wide Web in promoting an initiative you're about to begin here at the station. Some 50,000 hits, I think I read it in one of your posts. Yet you've been sensitive to the potential for misunderstanding in the local community. And having been a resident of Goderich until quite recently, what is it about Canada's prettiest town that makes it okay to advocate for a skate park, but not to teach kinky sex or whatever other misconception might be going around?
Well, that's kind of the problem, right, is that we think, so it's Tantra, and we think it's kinky sex. That's what we assume, right? And so then immediately, well, one, we're not allowed to talk about sex, period. Even if it wasn't kinky, we can't talk about it at all, you know. And then to think, okay, well, obviously it's weird stuff, right? Because it's called Tantra, which is not English, so obviously it's some level of strange that we don't do here in North America. So obviously it's a twist we don't understand. And for me, Tantra is actually the most natural thing we could ever do. It's actually exactly what we're designed for. It's kind of like yoga. People think that there's some weird esoteric thing about yoga, but actually yoga is just a science for health in the body and the mind and the spirit. But we don't understand that because we have pictures of people, in crazy postures and doing all these things, and yogis who don't sleep and they get buried underground and stuff, and we think, oh, yoga's weird. And Tantra is the same, that it's actually how we're meant to interact with people. But because we have visions of the Kama Sutra and people in all these weird sexual positions and energy and blue gods and all these kind of things, obviously it must be weird. And it's not. And that's sort of part of my goal, is to take that beautiful ancient tradition and really demystify it and let people know that this is actually made for us. Like, as long as, if we're human, this is like it's like the instruction manual we never got, right? I mean, with sex, as teenagers, we're told nothing. We're told, don't do it, and if you do, use protection. That's it. So we default to kind of a procreative animal thing that says, the body says, well, we gotta make babies. So we kind of have normal sex, what we call it. That's not what we're made for. We're made for something so much more than just making babies. And so that's sort of my goal, is to say, you know what? This is for everybody. It will bring you the things that you're deeply seeking, like true connection, true love, real pleasure, real joy in everyday life. And so that's sort of my thing, but it takes a bit of an education thing to get over the leap, because it's called Tantra.
I'd like to deal with the bit of an education thing, if I could, because I guess working in the media, I'm sort of an apologist for the alienation that it's helped to create. And in my mind, that comes from, well, in radio especially, we talk one-to-one to people. And so you compartmentalize individuality in that way, and that helps create loyal consumers and people that subscribe to opinions that they're given by people like me who help to interpret the world for them. And all of that creates this massive sense of alienation, that something that challenges the compartmentalization is a threat. Would you agree with that, and that Tantra is a way to overcome people's alienation by making them more responsive both to themselves and to individuals they care about?
Oh yeah. We live in these boxes, right? It's like somewhere along the line, they always say in every great religion, you know, you have to come to Source, you have to come to God through the eyes of a child, through this free, open spirit, right? And somewhere along the lines, we get shut down. We put up walls, we put up guards, we keep people at a distance for whatever reason. You know, maybe we're taught that people aren't trustworthy and lots aren't, so it's fair. Maybe we'll feel judged by having a certain, we have all these trains going by, it's very amazing. But, and as soon as we feel judged, or as soon as we feel like you might think that I'm doing something wrong, I'm going to hold you at a distance, because in the end, who I am is who I am. Like, what I feel and what I believe is my essence. And the last thing I want to do is have you judge my essence. So we put up walls, and when I don't share everything with you, and I don't tell you everything because you're going to think something. Tantra literally means to weave. It also means that which expands our consciousness. That's the joy of Sanskrit. It's got all kinds of fun, juicy, full meanings. But the weaving, imagine what it would take for two people to actually connect. You know, and I don't mean just sexually. I mean just openly share. That you actually felt like I could tell you anything, and you would still love me, and I wouldn't be judged. Well, your whole being just goes, right? That's a huge deal. Whether it's a parent and a child, that the child feels that they could honestly just be themselves, and they're safe to do that. That parent-child they will have a very beautiful relationship. We feel it sometimes with friends. That, oh well, they'll be with me forever. I've been friends with them for 40 years. They've seen me good, bad, ugly, making dumb decisions, making good decisions, all these kind of things. And we tend to open up with them. But sometimes not either. Some people never even open up with their friends. And they certainly don't open up with their children. And they definitely don't open up with their partners. Because as soon as we're intimate, as soon as we're sexual, this is our most deepest, vulnerable place. This is where we can be hurt so incredibly deeply, right? And so we actually tend to be the most guarded with the people we love the most and people we want to be most connected with.
And you've been very sensitive to what the community might think about the course that's about to be offered online, and I think that's a good thing. I'm looking at a target demographic and I'm thinking, well, maybe I should hold up a mirror. Here's me who was an avid consumer in earlier life and am now on a regimen of medication that, well, after I was on it for about 5 years, my doctor said, oh, by the way, it's 2 of your medications are sexual inhibitors. Oh, okay, well, that's why. And Tantra isn't something that comes with a pressure to perform, I understand.
Well, and this is the whole thing, that because when they call them there's 2 kinds of sex. There's sort of procreative sex, and what others would call, say, spiritual sex, or sacred sex, or regenerative sex, or that kind of thing. Tantra is more than sexuality, but through sexuality we can experience amazing things, and Tantra includes it. So one of the biggest keys in normal sex that society considers normal is the goal is procreation, right? Even if we don't want to have babies, the framework is the man gets hard, the woman, they come together, he comes, hopefully she comes, and it's all over, right? And after a little while you kind of go, oh, this is fun, and you kind of get good at it your way, or you figure things out or whatever, but something doesn't quite match up, right? And it happens. Women don't get in the mood very much. Guys have all kinds of issues, whether it's prostate or impotence or this kind of thing. And on the flip side, premature ejaculation, like all these kind of things, there's so many issues, and it's all around this performance anxiety around the procreative sex part. And the truth is, as soon as you get that out of the way, and you actually can relax with another person, the goal becomes different, right? If you're going to be with your partner, why would you do it? right? One says, well, there's a primal need to do this thing, right? But what if you look at your partner and you say, hey, you want to just hang out tonight? Like, you want to just like snuggle on the couch? Like, you want to just make out? You want to get naked and go sit in the hot tub all night? Like, do you want to just do something without any goal of sex, right? Sometimes it may happen, or sometimes it won't. And as soon as that goal is gone, you actually experience what it is. Like, you actually experience each other. It's like, as soon as we have a goal, we have tension in the body. It's like, okay, I know we're going to do this, and the man's going to be like this, the woman's going to be like this, and we're tense. Well, if you're tense, if you ask any fighter, right, as soon as he tenses his fist, he has less sensation in his fist, right? A relaxed fist, a relaxed hand, has much more sensation. You actually feel the touch, you feel shivers go down your spine, you know, that nervous system starts to work, you know, it actually, touch radiates through your whole body as opposed to just feeling it in the space. So now all of a sudden, you come together with your lover, and you just touch each other, and you just kiss, and you just breathe, and you just love, and you just do all these things. You have way more sensation than if you just went and got lucky. And oftentimes, if you do decide to get lucky, and the cool thing too is because sacred sexuality is so much more about energy, it doesn't even matter whether the man is flaccid or whatever, it all still works. Because it's not, the physical aspect isn't the goal, it's the energy and the flow between the people. And so then what happens is you end up with this beautiful connection. And you have experiences that are so far beyond the body. I had a man message me this morning and he said, I really hope you can help me. I have this new partner and I've been having these amazing experiences that I just don't even understand, that I have this energy flowing through me and my body tenses in the middle of it. I almost black out and all these weird things and I'm having orgasms all day long as I'm walking through my day. And, you know, is this normal, right? And it was so fun to chat with him, to kind of say, yeah, that's normal. And again, he didn't come to it because he did all kinds of weird stuff, right? It was something that naturally came out of a very relaxed sexual experience. And it's so exciting because that's what we're all capable of, regardless of our physical abilities, prowess, how we look, you know, all these kind of things. It doesn't matter. Age becomes absolutely irrelevant.
Tantra originates in a culture where humans and divinity are in embrace on frescoes along temple walls and stuff, and it has a very special place in people's lives in Eastern cultures, but maybe in some ways difficult to transpose. I did some studying and in earlier life painted mandalas quite frequently. Then I had cataract surgery. And what they don't tell you about that is you lose your up-close vision, which then you lose ways you can appreciate your partner when that's gone. But with the sense of touch being enhanced, I'm thinking that probably this is a way to overcome that difficulty too.
Absolutely. And the other big piece is breathing, right? Even to breathe with someone. You know, to even just come together and come close and just have your noses touch and just sort of play with that and allow the breath to actually be shared. And it's something that is so hard to explain unless you try it. But there is something really magical about it. You know, we just think, oh, it's just breathing. But then you come together in this beautiful, quiet, meditative space. Like, you don't just come like, you know, you actually are really conscious and you come together and you do this in a very loving way. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's if I had to describe it, it's almost like sharing spirit with each other. Like you're actually sharing your essence with each other through the breath. And you literally feel that other person like entering your body just through the breath. And you can do that for a long time. You know, and in a lot of ways it's the same intimacy as eye gazing, as really having that up close window into the soul, you know. And again, so if you add that plus a very gentle touch, plus a real meditative presence, it's just phenomenal.
People who have misgivings, I'm sure, as I'm listening to you and watching you, you're a very skilled communicator and you put people at ease. How did you acquire the communication skills, first of all?
I used to be so self-conscious and so shy, and I actually I ended up teaching dance, and through teaching dance I had to get over all of my self-worth issues about people looking at me and judging me and all that, and because I owned a dance studio, so I had to kind of fake it till I made it, you know. And that really made a difference for me, that I just got used to people looking at me, and I think that was the biggest, hardest hurdle there. You just sort of went, well, they'll either like you or they won't like you. But the other real thing about communicating, I find, is that I never, you know, it's good that you have questions written out, but I always feel that whatever I need to say will just come out, that it'll come from, I don't know, my deepest truth, the deepest truth, I don't know what it is. And there's something I think about that conveys a very honest place, you know, that says, this is real, this is really how I live, this is my real experience. I'm not saying anybody should do Tantra, I'm not saying anybody should do any of these things, but personally, I've experienced it to be such a transformative study, such a transformative experience. I just really want to share it. And so my intention, even with communicating it, is really just that if somebody hears me and it rings some bell inside of them that says, oh, I know just what she's talking about. I've had glimpses of that. Like, oh, there's somebody else out there. Then that's it. And if they resonate with that, then perfect. And that's really my only intention.
So trace me through the process of teaching dance and then coming to learn and acquire the ability to impart Tantra.
Probably the dancing just gave me teaching dance gave me the courage to actually stand in front of people and teach. And then I began teaching yoga and meditation, like Kundalini yoga and meditation, which again is very internal, very much about healing, very much about being present and conscious. And that really created a certain presence inside of me that, I don't know, maybe allowed me to become more aware of something, I don't know. The Tantra was something that has probably started bubbling up inside of me about 10 years ago. But I didn't know what to do about it. It was something that within my marriage, you know, we had a loving marriage and, you know, the sex was good, everything was fine. But there was something inside of me that was like, this is great. And I know according to society, this is 98th percentile or something, this is great. But something inside of me was saying, no, we're missing the boat, there's something else. And at the time, literally the word Tantra was bubbling up inside of me. I didn't even know what it was. It was just this word that kept circulating and circulating. And so I went to the library to research it because the internet wasn't such a big deal then.
Right.
And so I went to the library and they would, you know, of course I'm asking the people, you know, can you go find me books on Tantra? And they're like, what? You know, and they ordered books from all over Ontario, from libraries all over, and it was all this weird kinky stuff, you know, and, you know, rituals under the full moon and changing partners and all these kind of things. And I was like, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what's bubbling up inside of me. And then I finally found a book called The Heart of Tantric Sex. And I read that, and all of a sudden I went, oh, like somebody has written down like what I already knew. And then something inside of me just started unfurling. And then when I started practicing it with my husband and we started doing it, you know, you start having these they're not out of the body experiences, but they're beyond what we imagine is possible. And that's when I realized that, wow, this was it. This was the point. And then I began study, and first just personal study and books and practice. And then I went off to study with other teachers and stuff. But, and now I've finally come to a place where it's time to teach publicly, which was a huge deal because, you know, when I first started teaching even yoga in this town, you know, people used to think, oh, well, it's all that weird stuff at the train station. You know, and I thought, wow, if yoga's weird, what's going to happen if I teach Tantra? You know, and I even asked my kids who were teenagers, and I said, you know, are you guys okay with your mom being kind of the local tantrika? You know, because that's going to be interpreted all kinds of ways,
Right.
and it's going to be misinterpreted and extrapolated and into all kinds of things that absolutely aren't true. Are you guys okay with that? But of course, it's funny, as teenagers, we used to have a lot of teenagers living with us, and they used to love talking about Tantra. Like the teenagers, we'd have like a room full of kids, and they'd all be sitting there going, like, tell us more. You know, and this wasn't kinky, weird talk. This is talk about relationships and intimacy and love and what they're actually seeking. And it was a beautiful thing to find out that our teenagers, they just want an option. They want to learn something else. They don't want to just go out and have sex, or they don't want to do that. They actually want what's deeper. And so my kids were like, yeah, Mom, teach it. We're great with it.
I was looking for an analogy that would strike some sort of resonating comparison. And first I thought 50 Shades of Grey, and then I thought, no. I saw an episode of Big Bang Theory just at the end of February. The Relationship Accelerator, I believe it was called, the one show, and it was Sheldon and Penny played this game where it involved total honesty in answering the number of questions that were given, and concluded with staring at the other person's eyes for 4 minutes and guaranteed they would fall in love. Well, Sheldon used it for his own purposes to win a trip to a comic convention, I think. But I thought, yeah, some of the things you're saying about Tantra are here in this show.
Absolutely. I mean, you figure if you and I sat here right now, right? We don't really know each other that well, you know, so we're going to have certain barriers or certain whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine we play this game and we say, okay, we're going to ask a question, and we actually have to be honest, right? Well, to be honest, I'm going to have to drop something to truly share with you my honest truth about that. And then I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to have to drop something. And then I'm going to drop something, and you're going to drop something. And on some level, there's not going to be anything left, except sort of two spirits sitting here, you know, communicating. And that's the point. Right? What would it feel like to have dropped all the junk? You know, because even for me, I'm 45 years old. I was born into a certain culture. I have a certain job in the community. I have children. I'm educated a certain way, blah, blah, blah. These are all they're not negative things, but they create an identity that I'm supposed to maintain.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right? You are a man of a certain age, you live this is your job, you're a public, you know, da-da-da-da. This is your definition of self that you must act within.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a negative thing. We've even added on all the weird stuff we've got going on, right?
Right.
All the issues and hang-ups and worries and fears and concerns and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Just even the good stuff, even just our definition of self will keep us at a distance. Well, the beautiful thing about eye-gazing or honesty or really having the intention to truly connect is even all that disappears.
Mm-hmm.
How old I am doesn't matter. What I look like doesn't matter. What I do for a living doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly you and I become more the same. You know, with everything we drop, suddenly, at the end, we kind of truly feel unity. And this is the ultimate point of Tantra. That Tantra, that we are all connected, that we are all one. Only in the physical bodies do we separate out into separate things. But intimately, it's like, what do we really want in relationships? We want to feel connected. But not just like this. Our deepest souls want to really feel that unity. And in Tantra, in Tantric intimacy, this is what we experience. We actually drop everything and we feel this unity. And this is where we have these spiritual experiences that we can't explain. You know?
Mm-hmm. Now, say you're in a couple situation and the one partner says, I think I'd really like to try this and take this course and learn more about it. And the other one says, no, I don't feel comfortable. Will that benefit that couple if only one person takes the course?
You know, that's probably the number one pattern out there. You know, of all the people I talk to, people are either in a married couple and they both really want to do it. But that's a really, really, really small percentage of the married couples I know, or people in relationships. Then there's people out there who are, that's the majority of the people. One person's like, yeah, that's what I want. The other person's like, I'm not doing that. I would definitely say to that person, definitely study this. Because Tantra isn't just about relationships, right? You can't truly connect with another person if you've got all your stuff going on, right? If I'm afraid, or I'm worried, or I am afraid of being judged, or all these kind of things, it doesn't matter if my partner's into it or not. I can't connect. I need healing. I need to feel close with me, right? You know, so to study this is really valuable for every single person as an individual, whether you're in a partnership that's all in, or whether you're single and you have no partner, or you're in a partnership. It's still a personal study. Tantra is full of techniques that change you. That's the point. This is why it's really interesting to offer this online. It's beautiful to have workshops and actually have experiences in person, definitely. But a lot of the techniques you can do on your own and allow them to change you. So even something like eye gazing, right? You can sit in eye gaze with someone, but that's just not enough. You actually have to drop all your guards and let the person see inside of you. And you have to be willing to see what's really inside of them. And then that changes you, which is what Tantra is. Well, you can do this with a mirror. And I remember, I used to always read about this, right? You can do it with a partner, or you can do it with a mirror, and I always thought, I don't do it with a mirror. That's ridiculous. You know, I have a partner, I'm not gonna do it with a mirror. And then finally one day, I don't know, this little voice said, do it with a mirror. So I laid in bed with my handheld mirror and I stared into my own eyes, and I couldn't believe how uncomfortable I was. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I was afraid to even think what I was thinking because I had all these judgments coming up and I was so uncomfortable. And so it really became a really interesting meditative process to really observe the thoughts I was having. You know, good or bad, it was fascinating. You know, and whether it's touch or intimacy and all these things, it's not just our partners, it's also our children. You know, can you drop your guard with your children and just be present with them? Here are these beautiful humans that we are given a certain portion of our life with, and we have distance with them. We don't want distance with them. We want that kind of intimacy with them too. You know, this is where Tantra is not just about sex. It's about people, it's about humans, it's about how we actually interact with each other. It could be how I interact with my parent, right? We come in with so much garbage. Can I actually, imagine sitting with a parent that you've struggled with and do eye gazing with them. Like, imagine, how uncomfortable that would be. And at the same time, how healing it could be. Or even just to sit and just stroke their hand or touch and all these kind of things. Like, we miss out on this. So back to your original question about, if you're in a partnership that the other person doesn't want to. Bottom line, when we change, everybody changes. They can't help it. You don't have to say, you need to do this course with me. You study. You have a new understanding. You see the world differently. You walk around differently. You have a different interaction with the flowers and the person at the checkout and your children. That ripple effect has to affect your partner. And that can't be the intention. If that's the intention, it's not going to work. But for you to change, it's a huge deal. If someone's single and they don't have a partner, it's that whole thing, when we change, we attract different things into our lives.
So the self-improvement has potential mutual and societal benefit.
Oh, it's huge. Like, it's a huge deal. Like, just to simply walk around in a loving state.
Now, one question about the curriculum, because you mentioned Kundalini Yoga before, and from my limited knowledge of that, that involves sending energy through the 7 chakras and from the base of the spine to the top of the head. And if that comes in a rush, it has potential dangers.
Yeah.
Do you keep the curriculum safe?
Yeah, if you look up Kundalini Yoga on Wikipedia, they'll terrify you that you'll never do Kundalini Yoga. There are older ways there's lots of versions of Kundalini Yoga, and there's lots of techniques, because people would say, well, I want to raise my Kundalini. That's what I want to do. So they'll go away on a retreat, and they'll do a whole pile of crazy techniques, and the Kundalini will blast through their system, and they may have a weird experience, or a difficult, or a mental breakdown or something. The yoga that I teach isn't like that. It's very gentle. The body simply moves energy as it's ready. It's almost like, it's going here, and it just sort of massages things out. You drop a few things away, and you feel a little bit better. With intimacy, it's the same thing, that we will only go as far as we're comfortable.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I'm going to offer a curriculum. I'm going to offer, here is a different framework. Because again, most of our issues with sexuality and intimacy and connections with people, it's just something we've been taught. It's not real. It's just sort of, so for example, there's these beautiful temples you talk about with all of these erotic sculptures on them. If you look at one of these pictures, a lot of people they'd be like, oh, I can't look at these pictures, they're so rude.
Yes.
But why are they rude? They're just beautiful bodies doing something very natural, a very God-given ability to interact and essential reveal. Why do we think they're rude? This is something that we've been taught. This is something, it's very key with a society where sexuality is repressed. And even in North America, we think, oh no, we're not repressed. Sure we are. We can't talk to our kids about it. We can't talk to our neighbors about it. We're afraid to teach it. We're afraid to
get
talk.
upset when the government changes the curriculum.
Right. We don't like it. We get upset about it. This is a training. So part of the curriculum is just a different framework, offering a different framework to see relationships in, to see intimacy, to see sensuality and sexuality within. So that's a huge piece, is just simply saying, well, that's one way to look at it. Here's another way to experience it. The other piece are exercises to do by yourself or at home, that kind of thing, that can help to transform you. But again, we just do as much as we can. We go as far as the psyche will take us. And you talk about the energy flowing through the body. That energy is healing, right? It's healing energy, our sexual energy. It's almost like we've got this
Marvin Gaye is going through my head.
I know, sexual energy. But, so you imagine, so a lot of us are kind of struggling, whether with health issues or having enough energy to get through the day or sleep problems or whatever, just health issues. We have this sex drive inside of us that we can just think something, look at something, read something, see someone, whatever, and all of a sudden, something starts to wake up inside of us. It's like we have this internal nuclear power plant that all we have to do is internally flip a switch, and energy starts to get generated. Because we aren't taught anything differently, immediately we think, aha, I must have sex. Right? Because that's all we know, because it's down there, so obviously this is what's going on. The idea of the chakras and the energy flowing up and down the chakras, what if this energy is there to perpetually heal us, to perpetually regenerate us, to energize us? So instead of imagining, okay, well I gotta go get rid of this energy, instead we bring it upwards through the body, constantly. You know, it's almost like, you know, maybe you see a pretty girl or something and you look and something inside goes, oh, check that out. And instead you take a deep breath and you go,
life is good.
Life is good. Isn't that wonderful, right? That's what we're made for. It doesn't have to be extreme things. It doesn't have to be extreme Kundalini awakenings, right? It's kind of like that's always what hits the buzz. That's always what hits the media. But that's not how we're made. We're not made to have this beautiful system that's built into us, that's supposed to send us off our rocker if we feel pleasure, right? It's supposed to heal us and make us want to do more of it, and makes us want to connect it with other people and share it with other people and say, you got to feel this. This is so wonderful, you know. And that's what it's made for.
So if Tantra begins with touch, how does one get in touch with you?
Oh, nice. So the best thing is to go to the website. My website is called Fusion Tantra, fusiontantra.com. There's an email sign-up list, which I highly recommend signing up for, because when you sign up for that, I send you some little videos to kind of say, you know, here's some beginning things you can do with intimacy and eye gazing and that kind of thing. More about touch. There's also a list of books that really affected me that I think are brilliant, because there's a million of them out there. And there's also a lot of different flavors of Tantra, right? As many different teachers and different paths there are, well, everybody has a different version of what this can be. And so if this is sort of something that really resonates, then this may be a really interesting path to study. So that's a great thing. And then also we have a course coming up in April, the online course, and super excited about that because I get to share it, but then we also have an online classroom where people can go on anonymously. It's not Facebook, so you can either be whoever you want, or you can be exactly who you are and connect with people. It doesn't really matter, because sexuality isn't something we necessarily want the whole world to know right away when we're studying. And so you can go on there and actually discuss things with people from all over the world. And then there's also going to be a weekly question and answer period, a webinar, where we'll go over some of the questions people are asking and really go deeper as a group. And it's so much fun because the people that are connecting in on the email list and on the website and in Facebook, there's also a Facebook page called Fusion Tantra you can like, and they are from all over the world, like from Brazil to Australia to Greece to Iceland to, you know, the States and Canada. It's just so exciting, and people messaging me all morning, you know, saying, oh, this is so great, this is just what I was looking for, and blah, 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 how do I do this? And I think, how cool is that? Like kindred spirits from all over the world getting to connect and discuss and have these experiences together. So I'm just so excited.
Meeting the global community,